Sweet. All right. Welcome back. This is the third episode of the Musician's Playbook, and I got John Safari with the Music League.
How's it going, guys?
Guys, like I met him years ago when it was the Orange County Music League, and that was starting up and doing all that, and you guys were just like revolutionizing everything because I was in a band at the time, and we were having to fork out like $1,000 every show.
Yep.
Because they were like, no, you just got to sell the tickets, and I'm like we're a garage band in Anaheim. Like no one knows us. You know what I mean? Like it was so hard to do that.
100%.
Yes. Yeah. So it was like three of us. Our drummer didn't have a job, so it was really two of us, and we were just like going to the ATM right before the show because they wouldn't let us on the bill.
Yep. And if you don't pay, you don't play. And I heard that and watched my best friend at the time's band. They're the best band around in their genre. They're like metalcore, and they're like. But hands down the best band. Everybody would agree at the time in the area that didn't get out of the area, right? Yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, like a drummer had a kid and they, needed to work jobs because life, and they couldn't keep going to the ATM. And well, they actually worked themselves to the point where the promoters weren't making them sell a minimum because they knew they were going to bring 50 people. So they'd make them the headliner, but they still wouldn't pay them. And so, like, they didn't have to ever go to the ATM anymore, but they still weren't making money off these shows, even though they were doing the work. And they ended up breaking up, like, at the end of 2012. Yeah. And I remember going to the last show and just being like, this is going to happen to all of my favorite fucking bands if I don't do something about it. Because nobody else is doing anything about it because it's everywhere. Like, it started on the Sunset Strip, and when it started, and this is something that I haven't said a lot, but when it started, it made sense because... There were sold-out shows without you doing any promotion or ticket sales. Yeah. There were record executives when record companies could give you deals, give you advances, and break you. So, like, in where it came from, in the origin of pay to play made sense. You're playing to a sold-out room of people who have never heard of you, and so it's kind of like putting your product on a shelf at a store that's popular, right? Yeah. That is not the case and hasn't been the case for a long time. Yeah. And it's just stuck that, this is how we do business now, which is kind of a lazy way of not actually doing business and making other people foot the bill for you to have a building. Exactly. And it just didn't make sense, man. There's bands playing with a hip-hop act and then an acoustic act and then a metal band on a show, and you wonder why people don't think that local music is any good. It's because these people were just trying to make a buck and didn't give a shit about if the show was good, if the people who came and paid were entertained, or if the genres even matched, or like, hey, if you like this guy, you'll like this guy, even though they're not the same, which is what we try to do. Well, we'll put a pop punk band with a metalcore band, but people will like both of them, and it will make sense in a way that it flows, and it's not like, death rap to death metal to acoustic. Like, who made that bill? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
What's going on right now? Yeah. You got this folky singer-songwriter in, and then the next guy comes on and is like, I'm a, yo. And
then a one-man metal band, like, what is going on here? And there's like 10 guys on the night, too, and like, that's just too much. Nobody's going to be able to sit through 10 acts, and we'll do some shows nowadays where it's like 10 or 12 acts between two stages, but we don't expect somebody to be there for the first band and the last band. But like on a club show, like 5 is the maximum. Please stop having more than 5 bands.
People get tired after
it's
a
like,
point, man.
dude, like you get burnt out, and then what happens is now the headliner isn't the headliner because people are leaving before the headliner. And so then we've had to adjust and, put the headliner second to last. And, venues still want a band to play till midnight, but bands don't want to play till midnight. So it's it's a gymnastics act.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And it's just, it's crazy. And then even like hearing your story too, just like going into all of this, right? Because like you started from like nothing, right? Yep. You were just like, I started seeing this like
as a music fan, dude. I'm going. Yeah. So a little backstory. I played competitive ice hockey growing up. Travel ice hockey, and I got injured my second to last year, and I was gonna go to juniors, but like I pulled the shoulder out, had to get it sewed back together. Was like an 8-month recovery before I was able to go on the ice again. So I only played like the half of the last year, and kind of decided, this isn't gonna get me to turn pro. I could go play juniors in Canada for a couple of years, but like, let's just like get to life, and music was the thing that filled all this free time that I had because I was at the rink every day. And so I just became, a music lover, going to concerts 3-4 times a week, and I realized that the good bands needed help, or else there weren't going to be a lot of them, at least in our area.
Yeah.
And I just, started promoting a nightclub, which wasn't really my vibe, but it got me into figuring out how to, make a list of people who come to your shows, so that instead of just like keeping it all in your head or making a post on social media and hoping it works, like you actually have a spreadsheet with a couple hundred people's names and where they live, what their age is, what their birthday is, what kind of music they like the last time they came to one of your events. Like, and then now you have this database of all your fans, and now you can actually reach out to them with the things that you know that they're going to want to see, and you're going to have a way better like turnover rate and show up rate, so that was kind of the beginning, and that really helped build a foundation. And then through that, they, like just chance, I happen to be working at this nightclub, and they have this new weekly at a place called the Copper Door in downtown Santa Ana.
Yeah.
And they were trying to do DJs, and it didn't really work. And they were like, "Hey, you want to try to take this over? Like, I know you're throwing a couple of concerts." And I was like, "Absolutely, let's go."
Yeah,
and
give me a venue.
So it just like fell into our lap, like from the fucking start, dude. Yeah. And we had a Tuesday night weekly in downtown Santa Ana at a brand new craft beer bar, and for the first year, I think we did like 3 bands and 3 DJs. And I was really trying to bring everybody together, and it didn't fucking work.
I remember going to those shows.
It was 2 separate shows, but I didn't get the mix that I was going for. And so we dropped the DJ thing after the first year, and we were just like, we just do bands, and but that was like the beginning, and the thought process was people feel bad or don't feel like it's valuable to pay for a local music concert due to the circumstances we were just talking about, like it's not a cohesive show, yada, yada, right? Yeah. Like there's no curation of the lineup, right? And so we were like, well, let's put on a fucking badass show once a week and keep it free so that people can like see that there's value again in going and checking out these people they've never heard of, because they are good. And that's where the logo comes from on the hat. Enjoy local music. Like, I don't want you to come fucking support me. I'm not a charity. Like I'm trying to show you my art, right? So I want, like, what does Coca-Cola do from the logo, right? They don't say, oh, support Coca-Cola or drink. They say enjoy a Coke, right? Like, and so that is, it's you go into a totally different mentality. You're like, oh, I'm going here to have a good time. And then you do. Yeah. Versus, oh, I'm going there to support. And then that's all you do. You watch your buddy's band, and then you fucking leave. Yeah. Because you did your support. Now you go have your fun elsewhere. And so there's a huge disconnect on that we were able to, over 2 years probably, with a ton of just free shows, making a tiny bar split, not making much money. Everybody's playing for free, but at least nobody's paying to play, right? Yeah. And it was like a breath of fresh air. And then we were able to educate everybody in person. Like, this is why you shouldn't do this, because it harms everybody, not just yourself. And your fans aren't even having a good time, and they don't feel like the 10 or 15 bucks they spent was worth their time. And that's the problem that we need to fix first, right? And, going from there, then we were able to start having some ticketed shows where it was like, all right, now you make money off the tickets you sell, and there's no minimum. And everybody's like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And,
it's crazy to think that was like a foreign concept. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, what, we could do that?
Isn't that so weird? Like, any other business that you sell something for somebody, you get a cut. Like, that's how the world works. It's capitalism, right? And, we all have our opinions on that one way or the other, but like, that's how the system works. And so it was very strange to me, outside looking in, like, how come this doesn't work like that? Yeah. Like, why aren't we incentivizing these people to, like, bust their ass and make money? Like, wouldn't they bring more people in theory? And I think that's true now, 10 years down the line. I see bands bringing 60 people when they know that they're getting paid, but 15 when they were paying to play. So, and it's the same bands. So, you can argue that it was the system, or you can argue that they've just been around long enough and now they have more fans. It could go either way, right?
Yeah, and I think like what's cool about the spot that we're in Temecula, right? The wineries kind of have a good system. The wineries understand that, like, no, you're the entertainment. We need to pay you to be here because you're drawing more people in for us.
Or you're keeping the people here spending more money.
Exactly.
And
so the winery still gets their cut, right? And this could go whatever, but like, just in this example, right? So the winery, they get all their sales from their food, their drinks, and all that. The band gets paid, or the entertainment gets paid for, doing that, and their value, right? So it's like these venues and bars, right? It's the same concept. Like, you have food, you have drinks, you still have like, but now that, like, you got to pay these people because they're the only reason that they're bringing people in to keep you like, you know,
100%.
It's just like this.
It's like you guys are on the same team, but you're like treating it as like somebody's like your bitch.
Yeah,
like for lack of a better term.
Exactly. Like somehow it flipped. Like it was like, no, you need us. It was like, no, you wouldn't survive without our music.
100%. And you know, again, that's like that LA mentality, right? And you know, out here in Temecula, we don't have that like at all. I think that's why a lot of people move out here is so that they can still be by LA. I mean, I'm speaking for myself right now.
I mean, I did the same thing from Anaheim over here.
Dude, more space and a more mellow pace of life, but I can still drive to LA if I have to, which I try not to. But I'm actually going to start taking that train from Paris here.
Oh yeah. No, I love that. I love that train ride. That's how. Little side note: in high school, that's how I got to my dad's house in Fullerton. I would take the bus to the train to go. It was so much fun.
It's fun, man. It's nice to not be in traffic. You have a much better mentality.
Exactly, and then you can sit down, do your emails.
Exactly.
So I kind of want to talk about like a good example is I had a band reach out to me through social media. They're trying to book a tour, right? And so I was like, I could connect you with some people, but like, you know, the band's got to do some groundwork. So what's some advice you could give on like bands, if they were to reach out to the music league, like what's the best way for an artist, a band or someone to reach out, not just the music league, but promoters in general?
Yeah. I was going to clarify that.
Yeah. Just in general, kind of just give some best practices or whatever. So like you guys are busy, man.
Yeah. So it depends, right? Like if you're a local band, like show up at a fucking show and shake my hand. Like if you're from around here, show up and shake our hand, and then we know you. You're not just another email. You know, if you're from out of town and you're on tour, obviously that's out of the question, and it's a little different. And that's when you like, you know, a lot of people hit me up on Instagram or on Facebook, and like that's great. That's what they're there for, is for us to network. But all official things about shows or anything needs to be in an email, because you need to be able to pull up an email thread and be able to easily access. Like I have people hit me up on 5 different social media platforms, text messages, 2 different emails. Like I need it all in one place. And that way, you know, you don't lose something. Like I'll be like, shit, where was I talking to this guy about this show? And it takes me 15 minutes to figure out which place I was having that conversation. Right. Yeah. So I think that's one of the most important things, is like being professional with an email. And I don't need your whole band's bio on every show you've ever played. I need the like a 1 paragraph, like a couple sentences about your band, your style, what you're trying to do, and then I need links to YouTube videos in my inbox so I can click the YouTube video from my inbox. I don't have to go to another fucking website. Yeah, that's like when you make our job easy like that, it's a lot more likely that we're going to book you, because sometimes we're on our phone, sometimes we're in a hurry and we're going through stuff and we're trying to, you know, we read every email. But if you're making me go to a website and then I have to go to another website from there in order to click to listen to your music or watch your video, you're hurting yourself. Yeah. Like it needs to be so easy that I read it, I click it, I watch it, and then I can respond without ever leaving that page. Yeah. And that's like probably the best advice that I think I can give you, is short, concise, and everything in that one thing. And then the second step of that is have a plugin list and a stage plot. Got it. Like so many bands don't have it, and you could draw your stage plot on a fucking napkin, and I'd be happier that I have it than not. Like it doesn't have to be all the bells and whistles, although it is 2024 and it's really easy to get a nice one done. You know, you can hit me up or you can hit James up and we'll help you with that. Like it's not that difficult. It's pretty cheap, but like just a napkin drawing so that the sound guy knows what you're going to be bringing to the table. Yeah. It helps our changeovers and it expedites the process and helps make you sound better at the show because we know what you need instead of asking you and then having 10 minutes to do it. Exactly. We can have it all set up from the beginning of the night.
Exactly. And just real quick, like a basic summary of what that is for any viewers who this is the first time they're hearing of like a stage plot.
So a stage plot is basically a picture with like an overhead shot of the stage and like where your instruments, your pedal boards, like you got drums here. Are your 2 guitars stage right, or is there one on stage right, stage left? Yeah. Where are all your microphones? Is like the biggest thing, so that we know how many vocal mics you guys need. Does the drummer need one? Is it all 3 downstage? You know, and so it basically just gives us a visual representation of what you guys are going to look like before you're up there, so that we can have DI boxes run and like microphones and everything's ready. You just get up there, plug it in, and we're testing you, instead of us having to run something while you're setting up, and then we don't have as much time to do a quick line check before you play. Like, you know, because the point is we're trying to make you guys sound as good as we can. You know, we can't can't make you sound good. You have to do that, but we can make everybody hear you well.
Yeah.
I guess that's
a great way of putting it.
I can't make you sound better than you can sound, but I can make you sound as good as you help me sound, like get you to sound, you know? And, you know, we're working to do that. And so when you give us that stage plot, visual representation, and then the thing that goes with that is the plugin list. So if you carry an IEM package, or you carry your own like wireless mics or anything, we want to know that ahead of time. We want to have the band before you and set that up and test it while the other band's going. So we don't have anything that slows us down in the short little 15 minutes that we have, you know, switching bands over.
Exactly. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I don't even think a lot of people like even know that. You know, it's like,
oh, definitely not. Like until you actually start playing real venues, like, you know, like, and we do a bunch of shows now at the House of Blues in Anaheim, and every band has to have that. And if they don't have it, I tell them, write it on a fucking napkin and shoot me a photo, and well, it's good, you know. But it's the advanced work, right? Like, here is everything I need, and then it's there. And if you don't tell me you need it and it's not there, shut up. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, like, I didn't have it because you didn't tell me I needed it, you know. And you know, again, we try to have everything there, but
there's only so much you could do.
Exactly. You know,
and it's working with the people that are helping you out, and you guys will work with them too. You know,
totally.
It's like,
we're all in this together. We're all trying to make sure that everybody who comes to the show has a good time and buys a t-shirt from all of us and follows us on social media and comes to the next one. Like, that's literally that simple is the whole point of what we're doing. Right. So,
and then just one thing I want to touch back on, because I just thought of it, but in the emails for the subject line, you don't need like band looking for blah, 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 right?
No.
Band name, date of show.
Band name and date of show.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Blah, blah, blah for this date.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's all you need. Super simple, and it's really easy to find that, again, by just searching in your email box.
Yeah, because your email, if you type in band,
every email that I get, you know,
nothing's going to disappear. It's just going to be the same list.
It'll get rid of the stuff that I do for production. That's not bands, but not much, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, cool. That was. I think that was solid. Like, that's everything I wanted to touch on in that like segment right there.
Cool.
Was there anything else that you think that we maybe missed on that part?
Not really. I mean, I try not to get hung up on the pay to play thing anymore. You know, it was a very long fight. But it really only still exists on the Sunset Strip and with a couple promoters. And, you know, I don't name drop anybody. You guys know who you are.
Yep.
We all know. And everybody knows, right? The bands know. And it's, you know, I guess I have one more thing to say, like, to bands. And if, like, you guys are still playing these shows because you think it's a good opportunity for you, you're harming everybody else, and you're holding us up from having complete progress on this issue. And just because you think one time it's worth it doesn't mean, one, it doesn't mean that show's worth it, but two, it's perpetuating the pay-to-play cycle further and further into the future for younger bands, and like allowing more people to be taken advantage of. So, you know, is it really worth it for you to have one show to like keep making this thing happen? I don't think so. And I would just urge bands, as I always have, to not fucking pay to play. Like, if you have to take money out from your job, which all of us are not doing very well because everything's so expensive, like, just fucking stop. Like, please. It helps everybody. And you might play 4 less shows this year, but next year you'll get paid for every show you play. And it's, you know, and then it's also an overall mentality we all have to have.
Exactly. And be like you said, overall, like, think holistically of the whole thing. You might think it's worth it right now, but like, is it? Like, there's more value in the fact that I don't have to pay and I'm getting more people at the show, you know, and then it's just a better time for everyone, as opposed 100%. To like, now you're stressing, now you're doing all this stuff. So just think about the whole side.
If you're stressed out and you have to hit the ATM before your set, I would bet everything in my wallet right now that that's not going to be the best set you've ever played, because you're stressed about other shit that's not at the show. So,
100%. So I want to move right into just like you said, like, go to shows. Build those connections with people. That is probably the best way for you to network and get your band name out there. You know what I mean? And start building those connections, because we could do a whole bunch on social media. That works great. I advocate, you know, just being on there consistently, not a million times a day. That is like the biggest thing, is like, stop trying to think you need to do this and I need to do this and I saw this person did this. But the best way to get like 90 to 100% like just people connecting with you is going to shows.
And being
in
person. I mean, it's it's why the biggest businesses in the world spend millions of dollars flying people around the world to have face-to-face meetings for an hour. Mm-hmm. Like nothing replaces the connection of looking somebody in the eye and shaking their hand. Like there's nothing that can do it. No Zoom call, no fucking Facebook message, just nothing. It's, hi, my name's blah, blah, blah. Cool. Now I remember you. You know, I have a face, I have a name, and now we're on the same page. Mm-hmm. Now with that's how I met most of the bands that I book. Is I went to a show and I saw them and I talked to them after their show and I said, hey, I'm this new promoter. Like, my name is John Safari. This is what we're trying to do. And I'd love to have you play this date. And like, I would book bands for shows by going to their shows. So it's like the same thing will happen if you as a band come to my show. Like, I'll book you for a show. It's like, it's the easiest way to make it happen, to be honest.
Exactly. And I think that's great. I feel like, like I don't know, like I was kind of alluding to, like social media is great being on there, but you'll never replace that. And I think I wrote out this whole segment, but I'm like, I think we just covered it all just in that 2 seconds.
2 sentences,
keep it simple,
for sure. And just like one more note on that, like, what's it called? You want to be what you want to see, right? Yeah. Or I don't know exactly the best way to say that, but it's just leading by example. If you want a bunch of people at your shows, then maybe you should go to more shows. And if we all went to more shows, then I bet you more other people would come to shows. Because when there's 5 other bands, and this is something that like we really harped into people in the beginning. It's like, I need to see you at other shows. Yeah. Because that's how we build a music scene. Mm-hmm. It is not a bunch of fans. It's a bunch of bands and musicians and artists, right? And that's how you get a music scene that attracts a bunch of fans. Like, if the bands aren't watching each other, why would that band's fans watch you, right? And so it's all about like the cross-pollination and like going to another show. The Alienated, for example, right? Back in the day, I managed them, and they went on a ton of tours, and like, 3-piece punk band. They weren't the best band, but they were at every fucking show.
Every show.
Together, the whole band. And their band name got said more than any other band name for like 3 years, because every show they were at, bands would give them a shout out. So they didn't even have to play for people to know that they were a band, right? And so they actually got fans from shows they weren't playing because they were all there. They were mingling with people. They were meeting everybody and supporting all the other bands. And in turn, a bunch of those bands came to their shows. Yeah. And like, it was like so simple to see it unfolding in front of your eyes. It's like these 3 guys come to every show, and now they bring the most people to their shows. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was funny because how I got connected with them, it was a pay-to-play show because I didn't know anything better at the time. Yeah. It was before, like, it was kind of right in that beginning. And we just were having fun. The band name was Dip at the time, right? Yep. And we were just having fun. And then next thing you know, I'm on like the bass player's shoulders and I'm playing my guitar. I was like, how did this happen, man? And so afterwards we started talking and everything, and it was like, okay, cool. Like, he connected us with you. Like, and then we were at all these shows, and I was like, there's a whole like community of people. This is epic. Yeah. As opposed to like, we're just in our garage. We're just kind of like practicing stuff. I was like, it was that quick, just like meeting those right people,
And like, you only get that from going out and meeting those people, like if you send me a message on Facebook, how do I get involved? And I tell you to show up at a show and you don't, well, it looks like you're not going to get involved. Yeah. Like, it's pretty simple.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about like, like kind of stage presence and being on there, like as a band, right? Because there's, we built up everything. I know we're taking some water.
This is one of my favorite sentences.
Yeah. But it's an experience for people. That's what it is. You're showing off your art, you're showing off your music, right? And it's like you really gotta just like have a fun time and show people.
If you're having fun, they'll have fun. Yeah. 100%, right? Anything you go to, like even if it's a sports game and you can tell that the guys are having fun, you're more into it because it's like genuine and it's like real and it just feels good, right? Like that's why we're going out, is because we want to have fun. So if the guy that's entertaining me is having fun, I'm gonna have way more fun. Oh, yeah. So that's 100% baseline, right? But what I always tell people is, why do you think hair metal bands had their fucking hair sprayed in leather pants and bright colors, like fucking stage presence? Yep. It's nobody wants to pay to see their fucking neighbor sit in the corner and play a guitar. Yeah. Like some dude in jeans and a t-shirt, not even looking at them, just like, that is not what people are paying for. Yeah. They're paying for the opposite of that. Like, they want somebody to spit on them or, like throw water and fucking and jump into the crowd and like get sweat on them. Like, that is a show, right? Like, not just like a high school talent expo. And so that's like one of the main reasons I actually do manage the band I manage still from Zero to Hero is they're choreographed and they're running around the fucking venue, and like it's like just as much about what we're doing here tonight as it is the music, right? Yeah. Like it's as much of the vibe as we're creating from that stage and the atmosphere in the venue as it is about the songs that were written. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if the two of them are great, then that's when you end up on festivals, right? Yeah. And so, but you can be a mediocre band and get pretty big if you have a sick ass live show. Yeah. Like you don't have to have the best songs if you have the best live set. 100%.
Yeah. There was what was it? Like I went and saw in like 2012, I think it was Blink-182. My Chemical Romance opened for them, but Matt and Kim opened for My Chemical Romance. So you have this two-piece, this dude just on his like keyboard and then his wife on drums, right? Mm-hmm. And their stage presence was insane. And they were able to keep everything going. And then you get, My Chem, and then you get Blink. But it was like the energy just like kept going up, right? Yeah. So, and it's just as easy when you have a two-piece like that. You could think of any big band that's a two-piece, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like you have to bring it when you're doing stuff like that.
100%. Yeah. And dude, like it's 2024. Like you can be wireless on stage. Everybody, guitars, basses, and microphones can all be wireless, and they work great now. Yeah. It's not shoddy like it used to be when it came out.
Radio feed and all that.
Yeah, no, it's like so much better. So, spend a little bit of money, and give yourself the freedom to roam about the venue. Yeah, it's so much fun. Like, tell me that you had a bad time when the singer was running up and down the bar. You know what I mean? Never. Like, you're just like, this is sick. Yeah. Like, yes.
Exactly. So it's like, with your music, that is very important, right? And
of course, that's the base.
Yeah, 100%. Practice it. Yeah. Get tight with your guys.
Oh, yeah. What I mean? And that on a side note right there, you need to be rehearsing at least once a week.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
At least. 100%. Yeah. And then it's like, have fun, write the music, do all that stuff. But then once you get so tight to where it's like you're playing it with your eyes closed, you know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm. That's when you start
100%.
Okay, let's start like how can we do the show? We would practice jokes in the garage and stuff and be like, okay, that might be funny, and everything like that. And we'd do that.
Yeah, just the in between song banter. I mean, that's how you create an entire show, right? Is you do practice that stuff. And when you see those big bands, that they practice that. They didn't just come up with it, right? And that's like the whole point, right? It seems spontaneous, but it's rehearsed. Yep. And that's why it is so good.
Exactly.
That's why you're like, damn, that was great.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like, just practice it.
Put that wireless in there and then go out into the crowd and start your own mosh pit and then get back up on stage and be like, fuck yeah. Yeah. I see it happen all the time. And like, you don't forget that band. Like, I mean, this brings me back to Warped Tour a lot. There wasn't like Warped Tour, you had a 30-minute set at fucking 4 p.m. or 12 p.m. And like you had to bring it. And you had to bring it every day on that tour in order to get noticed and to make it worth your time because you didn't get paid a lot. But like, there would be bands that would bring out a raft. And then the dude would jump out and crowd surf in a raft. And you're like, never forgetting that ever. Right? Like, I'm never, like, this was 10 years ago. And I still remember in Heart's Wake, just like literally surfing the crowd, and it's pretty simple to, engage your crowd and get them to be a part of the show with you, and that's like the best thing, man. Get a guitarist or your bassist in the fucking pit. Have your singer like jumping on people's heads on the barricade. And like, it's such a different experience.
Exactly. 100%. I think that's like, man, that was solid. You said Warped Tour. It just took me back.
I miss it, man.
I do too.
Getting sunburnt by 2 p.m. and still being in the sun for 10 more hours.
Right. And exactly. And then they have like their Mr. tent. It's just an easy up with like these small
little PVC.
Everyone's just like hugging them. You're like, oh. But even speaking of that, you guys are like building out, shows and you guys are doing festivals or no?
Not like that. Not of that scale. Cool. We are in some talks, but we're doing like more like 2-stage mini fests in parking lots, working our way up to that. Yeah. We've done a few in the past, but it's been a while, Actually, funny enough, before we actually made it Orange County Music League, we had a camp out festival in like Elsinore on a private property, which I'm swinging by there today. So fingers crossed.
Let's go.
But like, we stopped doing that for a while because we wanted to focus on fixing the pay-to-play thing and getting like the club structure fixed, right? Because that's where everybody's playing most of the time. Like I can do 2 things in the desert or whatever a year, but that doesn't. That's like a special event that doesn't have anything to do necessarily with like cultivating the music scene, right? And that's a lot more like in town, in your face, you know, like how do we get people to come here after they get off work, right?
Exactly.
It's a totally different vibe.
Yeah. Well, I really liked what you just did with the NAMM show. You guys had a show that was just like, what was it, catty corner from
it was it's 3 miles from the convention center, but it's 1 street straight. So it was like pretty simple for anybody to come down to, you know?
Yeah, but it was like, there was a whole bunch of people there too. Like I was seeing it all over Facebook, Instagram, and everything too. I was just like, dude, this is awesome. Like,
we had like 4 separate shows in 2 days. We had like a matinee afternoon, and then we had a night, and it was fun. We get to bring out we finally bought a bunch of steel deck for staging, and you know, we've had truss and audio and lights and fog and everything. So now we have like the full package, and as long as I have a place I can set it up, I can do a show anywhere. Basically a mobile venue that takes a few hours to set up.
Yep. That's awesome. It just makes me think of like what Rage Against the Machine did that one time. They were like kicked out of the Staples Center or whatever, and they're like, okay, we'll just set up in the parking lot then. Like you can't tell me to stop. Like, dude, that's awesome.
Dude, I'll take the fine, dude. Let's party.
Let's go. Well, that's awesome, man. Like, what is your biggest goal for this year, like coming up, right?
Well, this year I've got a couple other projects going on that I'm really trying to get off the ground. You know, I've been doing labor for the bigger music festivals for the past like 5 or 6 years, and like hiring, staffing, scheduling, and then on-site managing the crew. So we finally just started our own company, which is the Heavy AV. There you go. So that is that's off and rolling, and now we're just trying to convert people that hired us into people that, you know, hire the business, and you know. So that's going to take up a lot of time. But the other thing is we're working on trying to maybe start our own venue somewhere in Orange County, because after COVID, there's no venues. Like all ages places are gone. And there's very few other bars left, you know, like Dollhead's one of them that survived, but the Carmen Bar and, you know, a bunch of these places are gone. You know, Hoagie Bar Michael's, like everywhere that we used to do as a staple back then, they're not there. And to kind of your point from a while ago about the wineries, like the brewery game has kind of, you know, become a better place to play than bars because they have more space. And a lot of them have food, so they're all ages. And so I think the focus this year is going to be to kind of find 1 or 2 breweries to partner with that we can do like a monthly thing at. And,
that'd be awesome.
And maybe, you know, support anything else that they do or other bands that would come through, and try to kind of set up less shows, but like make each show count more for this year, like on the show front. And then, in 2 weeks, I'm finally making my hot sauce again. So that's going to be fun, man.
Yeah, I tried that the last show.
Peach Mango Habanero, man. It is fire.
So good.
Yeah, it's going to be called Gnarly Safari, and the company's Booty Island Spice Co.
There you go.
Yeah, so
there you go.
We're getting that back off the ground. So
I was going to say, when you get that started, I'll make sure I add the link on this video and all that stuff.
Cool, yeah. It should be up. Honestly, we should be promoting it and doing pre-order starting next week. So.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, depends on when you're watching this, but the link will probably be in the description for that. So
hell yeah.
Just give it a try.
Click the link. I promise you, it's so good. Like, I was not even a hot sauce person until I started making this hot sauce. And now I'm a hot sauce person, and I love it on anything breakfast, anything seafood.
There you go. Oh, it's so good. Well, awesome, man. Well, is there like anything else that you're doing right now that you'd like to highlight as far as like just giving back and building out that community? I think that's the biggest reason I started this podcast. I want to break those stigmas of like, you know, like everything you think you have to do as a musician. Most of the time it's just a bunch of BS information that someone just said. Yeah. And for some reason, like you just kept it here.
Yeah, it's stuck, right?
And it's like, that's like my main focus with all of this at the root of it all is like, if you're a musician, there is so much like things that are good, and there's ways to do it in a way to where you can support yourself and you can actually make it like a reality. You know what I mean? So yeah.
You know,
go to shows.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, man, it starts with going to shows, but it really, even before that, it starts with like your band unit and your band relationship, and like how many times you rehearse, and like are you guys on the same page?
Yeah.
Do you all want to tour and play shows? Or is this your hobby that you just like to do once a month? Mm-hmm. You know, and like, that's probably the basis, you know, even before the music. Like, what is everybody that's a part of this unit and a part of this team looking for, willing to do, and then just divide and conquer, you know, because there might be two guys in the band that work full time and have kids, and then there's two guys in the band that, you know, work but don't have kids and they have a lot more free time. Well, those guys are gonna have to pick up some slack when it comes to social media and, you know, doing some of the other stuff in order for the unit to keep going forward, right? Mm-hmm. And I think just, you know, being honest, being on the same page and having communication with the people that you're in a band with can go a long way to get you there, right? And to get you started off right.
And leaving egos at the door, you know, all around, right? And that was something that, you know, I even did when, you know, it happens with a lot of band units, right? Like everyone kind of has that ego at a certain point.
Yeah.
And more often than not, when you leave it at the door and you guys all just like work together and like whatever, it's not like my song, right? Or whatever it is. It's like you just grow. You know,
totally.
It's everything just gets better.
Yeah. I mean, we all shit and it all stinks, you know? Like nobody's better than anybody else. And if you think that, then you should not. Yeah. You know? And I know we've all had that thought at some point, but it's part of life, you know?
Yeah.
Especially being a creative or an artist and thinking outside the box. Like sometimes you can get an inflated ego.
Yeah.
But it's definitely good to keep that in check.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, awesome. Well, before we end all of this segment, I just wanted to thank you again for sitting down with me, taking the time to even do this.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Awesome. Appreciate it. It's, you know, we need to get our podcast started back up. So a little bit of inspiration, you know?
Heck yeah.
Light the flame. We did 100 episodes over 2 years. Like, but it's been 5 years since we did it.
Wow, yeah.
So, you know, we were ahead of the game, and then, you know, COVID and everything, we could have doubled down and we didn't. So, oops.
Well, if you ever need a space, man, this space is always awesome, available. Man. Like we could get so many people in here, man.
Cool.
It's
very
awesome.
much appreciated, and definitely we'll talk about that. You know, real quick, like, I know you did have a question, right?
Yeah. Thank you. So we do. Some of our subscribers will actually leave comments on our videos, which is awesome because I'm still starting out this channel.
Yeah.
So thank you for leaving a comment, and we always read them. And I want to make sure that we get you the best answer that we can win it. So I saved this one specifically for you because I figured it would be you're the perfect person to ask about this.
Totally.
But Kat DeLeon, she gave us a question right here, and she wants to know kind of like, how do you find like-minded musicians, especially when you're first starting out? Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to build out a band and you're like, I need a guitarist, I need this. And like, you know, how do people get there?
So, you know, number one is going out to shows. But it's more than just shows. At that point, it's like open mics and open jam nights, which we're actually working on creating one of these nights where people can come and just jam. And there's like a backline set up. The Doll Hut in Anaheim does have one every Tuesday for free.
Oh, sick.
So that would be one place that you can go if you're local in Anaheim on Tuesdays, and they have stuff set up. And, you know, sometimes it's, you know, 17 guitarists, and sometimes it's 4 drummers and 2 guitarists. It just depends on who shows up that night, but that's like one of the easiest ways to get out there and actually jam with people and just kind of see. And then, but the other way is just going to open mics and kind of going to shows where you're gonna like be around this kind of people that are creating the kind of music you want to be. So not just going to any show, but being like, oh, these people have my vibe. Like, let's go meet them and let's talk to them. Because as most of you know, there's very few musicians who are only in one band or doing one project. So you're not stealing them from another band. Everybody can collaborate. Like we're not competing with each other. We're all on the same team. So, you know, go out and just introduce yourself, put yourself out there, bring whatever instrument you do play and play a couple songs at that open mic and like start to put your stuff out there and see what it attracts. Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then furthermore, we do have some groups on Facebook. Awesome. Like we have Orange County Music League, Orange County Music Scene. And then I actually made one years ago called Find a Band, Find a Musician, LAOCSD, something like that. And so there's a bunch of things on Facebook that you can get into these groups that do have musicians. And it doesn't happen right away because there's still a lot of spam in that crap too. But that's a way to at least put your stuff on the internet. And I see a bunch of people all the time in there, you know, hey, I'm, you know, new in town, I'm looking for a guitarist, or, you know, hey, we really need a drummer. Our drummer left. And so I'm actually trying to figure out a better way to get these people to meet. And then Ooh, I gotta look it up on my phone. But there's an app for this.
Okay.
Called, it's like Tinder for musicians. Let me pull,
sick.
and I just remembered the name the other day because somebody let me know about it.
Heck yeah. While he's looking that up, I just want to say, again, the links are in the description. Those Facebook groups on there, it'll be there. You can join, request, and all that. And that's probably a great way to like utilizing Facebook. A lot of people think it's dead, but it's great. For having networks and communities. That is like probably one of the best way. So yeah, definitely go and check those out.
It is called Band Mix, and it's basically Tinder for musicians. So I haven't personally used it, but I know people who have had some success with it, and they say it's great. It's basically people in your area that are looking to jam. So that's probably nowadays the best option, to be honest. Yeah. I haven't used it, so I don't have experience. But, going out to the open mics, use those Facebook groups and check out Band Mix. And, I'm sure you're going to at least get some nibbles and kind of take it from there.
Yeah.
And again, that open jam night at the Doll Hut is open for anybody, any kind of music, and you can just jam with random people and get up on a stage.
Perfect. And then if anyone wants to stay connected with you and everything that you got going on, can you please just do a quick...
Yeah, so John Safari on everything. If you search that, you'll find it. And then the Music League is on Instagram. It's themusic.league, www.themusicleague.com. And if for some reason you're watching this and you need labor for a production, hit me up at heavyav@gmail.com. That's heavyav.com. So we've got a bunch of stuff going. And then stay tuned for Booty Island Spice Co.
Yes.
Yeah, the Adventures of the Green Beard. It's going to be fun. We're making a whole comic book with it for each sauce. So it's going to be really cool. We're trying something different. And, it's the fun side project, right?
There you go.
But hey, man, James, I really appreciate it. It's been cool.
I appreciate you even just sitting down with me. That's awesome.
Absolutely, man. So. I remember you as a little kid and dip.
Yeah, dude. Oh, man.
I mean, I'm not much older. But
still,
it's just so funny, man. And here we are.
Yep.
So it's cool to see you grow, man. And I love that you're out here trying to help artists. So appreciate it.
That's it. Everything that I kind of wish I had when I was performing and doing that is what I'm trying to do now for artists. So.
Yep. And see, that's what it takes. It takes people that are trying to build a community around it. And that's, this is a step in that direction. So
yeah.
Thanks, all right, guys. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right.
See you guys later.
Later.